Moonlighter, which as maybe the name might suggest, is a game of essentially two different games. You see, during the day you are a shopkeeper and you sell your wares to the town, and by night you plunder dungeons, getting resources and items which you can then bring back and sell in the shop. And that may sound like maybe not the most enjoyable game, but honestly it is a fascinating mix that is pulled off incredibly well with just a few wrinkles along the way. In Moonlighter, like I said, you go into the dungeons and it's a dungeon crawler for the most part, randomized dungeons, randomized enemy layout, and if you've played games like Binding of Isaac or any of those roguelike games, you'll know what to expect here. It's all the other little parts within there that make it so enjoyable. So there's an inventory system mechanic that at first I felt like I might get annoyed by, in the sense that the further you go into these dungeons, they'll start to have attributes attached to them. They will be things like an item with an arrow, and the arrow will point to another box in your inventory, and it'll mean that once you return to town, the item in that box will be destroyed. So what you've got to do, you've got to very carefully sort of know where to place each item. You can quick sell your items at the bottom corner, but you will not get as much as if you brought it home to your shop and sold it there. But that little mechanic just made it a lot of fun. It just sort of brought a little element of strategy to it. Now if you die, you will lose every item in your bag, but you do have a top row of items. So if you gain something new, or you find something new and it looks very valuable, or you know that it's valuable, it is also worth to put it there just in case. You can also go back home and continue your travels through the dungeons at any point at a fee, but it's when you get home then comes the other part of the game, and there's a third part as well I'll talk about in a moment. But the second part of the game is you've got to sell your items, and items don't have a value attached to them, at least not at the beginning. So what you've got to do is you've got to guess what price these would be, or at least gauge, and then as you go throughout the day, people will come into your shop, they will look at your items, and they will have expressions popped up in front of them to show if it's too much, they'll be sad. If they're a little bit sad but buy it, they feel like it's a little high. If there's a little smile, they're happy with the price, and if little gold pieces go into their eyes, you know you've really been ripped off. And it's about sort of understanding the price of these things, and every item as well has a demand. So if you have a lot of let's say whetstone, and you sell it a lot day after day after day, the demand does go down on it. The only thing about it is I never really felt like it drastically changed much. I never felt like this supply and demand thing had much of an impact on the game. But either way, you obtain gold from selling these items. You can then use that gold to do a few different things. You can upgrade your weapons or your armor along with certain items you pick up in the dungeon. So the further you go down, you get more rare or certain items that can then be used to help upgrade your weapons and armor, which will then help you get further on, and you get more rare stuff which you can sell. Now you can also upgrade your town. Now you can sort of bring new shops into the town that will help give new items, so you can help buy potions or weapons or certain items. You can then also sort of use it to upgrade things, so upgrade to have a bigger chest. So if you bring home a lot of items and you don't sell it, you can put it into a storage chest and keep it there for a later date. Or like I said, if you want to use it to upgrade your weapons or armor. You can do a lot of different things in a lot of ways, and it's a surprising blend of, in a way, sort of different genres. Like you have the shop seller, keeper, simulator type thing. You have this town builder mechanic, which is relatively light, I'll be honest. Then you've got this sort of randomized roguelike dungeon crawler. And these different elements just marriage in a way that is so enjoyable. The sort of flow is just right. I never feel like the day of shopping is too long. You don't always have to do it. You can sort of leave it and go out and sort of go on your adventures and stock up your items. But it's just, everything is just balanced so right that I just enjoyed the slow progression I got as I got more money and upgraded my health and my power of my weapons, and then also sort of was able to bring new things to the to the town, and then eventually get further and further into the dungeon and unlock a new one. And it's just such an enjoyable flow to the game. Visually it's pretty nice, it's got a pixely style, but it's quite detailed, the music is nice. The only one downside I think I had to the game is the directions in where you attack. It's not as fluid as I wanted to be. I would have liked maybe a 360 sort of attack. It feels like there's a 4-directional attack, and that can be very frustrating as enemies kind of come at an angle, and it's very tough to catch them right, and you can get hit a few times, which can take off a decent amount of health. And in a good run, or at least a run where you get sort of further than you wanted it before or whatever else, it can be detrimental and sort of ruin your whole run. But other than that, I really enjoyed my time at Moonlighter. It's different, but with familiar elements from different games, but it's brought together so well that I really had a great time with it.